I always think I represent our listeners. So I'm 47, so only a couple of years younger than you, but I have a really young, feel like a spirit about me. And I always think that I'm still like 25 and I'm just trying again. I've run my own 7-figure businesses and I've lost a lot of different things. What I'm wondering is, were you, alongside the career and the corporate career, were you always self-led in terms of the mindset and the professional development and that kind of like, because that doesn't just pop up as a midlife crisis. I know you were joking, but it doesn't just pop up, does it? Like, it's like, that must have been like your curiosity for life, passion, purpose. Like, tell us about that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been very driven, I would say, and I think a lot of that probably comes from childhood, being I was the youngest of 3 daughters, the only one in the family to go to university, probably deep down always looking for that, hey, look at me, I'm the baby of the, and sort of looking for that affirmation. I had a great childhood mind, so lots of love. But I think that sort of drive to do more, achieve more, be more was always in me from being a kid. And I always knew that I was a bit different to my sisters, not better, just different. I was never going to follow a conventional path.
Yeah.
I knew there was a big wide world and I wanted to go out there and grab it. And ironically, I ended up spending most of my professional corporate life in the travel industry. So,
yeah.
It kind of suited me very well in that sense. But yeah, so I think a lot of it comes from childhood, in all honesty. Okay. And I'm still like that today.
Yeah.
Still very driven.
Yeah, I love that. That really answers it as well for our listeners, because they're like, where did that come from? Where did that, drive and that ambition come from? So yeah, it was always there. Back over to you.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Firstly, what's your Mount Everest? What's your next Mount Everest? Because I get the impression you've probably led the life that a lot of people would love to do. Like you've probably travelled quite widely. So most people, that's an aspiration. What's your next aspiration? What's your next Mount Everest? What is it?
So it's really related to the business. I'll talk about the business piece first. We're with Brave, Bold, Brilliant, which started out as the name of my podcast, is now a whole ecosystem. It's a business and a brand in its own right. And what we're here to do is to unlock that brilliant in other people by being brave and bold. So our vision is to help 1 million people unlock their brilliance through the executive development programs, through mentoring, all the ecosystem of Brave, Bold, Brilliant as a business today, to really help people get to that next level of growth. So that's the sort of the big, hairy, audacious goal that we're on now. So we're in development at the moment, new website. We're recording a whole new Rise Academy, which is for sort of junior leaders, right the way through to executive edge at board level, which I tend to do most of my personal client work at that level. So it's a really exciting time from a business point of view, but I just think it's hard in business. It's hard building a career. Life is hard, and it's even harder on your own. So you want to make sure you've got the right people in your corner, people that have been there, done it, failed, fallen over, got back up. And that's really what Brave, Bold, Brilliant is all about. It was the start of the podcast, but now it's, as I say, it's a whole ecosystem and brand in its own right. So that's our next Mount Everest, help 1 million people unlock their brilliant.
That's great. And in that regard, Jeannette, I'm going to unashamedly pick your brains on the podcast. So you're doing exactly the sort of thing we want to do, which is an ecosystem for female founders to grow their businesses and really address all the things that stops them, which is lack of clarity and lack of confidence and mindset and all those things. We talk about that a lot. And in particular, we were literally, before we came in, talking about having an academy. We were just saying that. What would you say to us if you were guiding us? What are the most important things for us to be thinking about in setting up that academy? What would you say?
I think you need to know who your target is, because women in business is a big category, right? Is it startups? Is it scale-ups? Is it entrepreneurs? Are you? So I think you need to get really clear on who you're aiming to help. So because I think when you start out, the temptation is to try and do a bit of everything. And that can be a mistake. So I think that's the first thing. So who are you targeting? Who are you helping? what's the problem you're solving? How are you making people's lives easier, better, etc.? So it's kind of the proposition, but not just based on kind of the functionality, if you like, of what you do, but really leaning into the benefits. So I would spend a good chunk of time kind of planning, researching, understanding how you help, asking for feedback on a sort of a, let's call it a minimal viable product, whatever that might look like. But don't overthink it either. To a certain extent, you want to kind of get going with something, and then kind of, it will take shape over time. But I think if you can spend a little bit of time up front, but really, why should people buy something from you versus someone else? Because there's a lot out there. Because when we've been going through this as well, we've just done a big brand piece of work with our brand and marketing agency called The Tribe, and they've really helped us, be super clear on our offering, super clear on who we help, super clear on our route to market. So our sweet spot is really larger corporate businesses, mid-sized businesses. Yes, we can help scale up and a startup, of course we can, but it's not really where we add the most value, because my background is in corporate, so I know what it's like to sit in the boardroom, to deliver to the shareholders, to stand up in front of the city and present to the analysts. And I also understand, how to deal with, building amazing teams and stuff. So our proposition is, we have sat in your chair. We know exactly what it feels like and what's required, but we're here to be a support, guide, neutral voice in the boardroom and to connect all levels of leadership in an organisation. But it took quite a while for us to get to that. We've had different innovations. So, I think women, female founders, there's a huge space there. And there's a definite need, even in terms of raising finance, there's this woeful poor the percentage of investment that comes from VCs for female founders compared to male founders, for example. So, I think you're in the right place.
Yeah.
But those are just thoughts for you.
Yeah, really cool. Thanks, Jeannette.